Hey, it's Mr. Engstrom. It's the first day of school. We already got a little bit of homework, but don't worry about it too much. It is review. So let's get moving here. So what we have some objectives here. Going to determine whether a relation is a function. We're going to identify the domain and range of a function or a relation. And we're going to evaluate functions. This is all stuff you've done before. Let's take a look. All right, so here are the things you need to know first. You got to know what a relation is. So let's take a look at that. A relation is a pairing of elements of one set of elements to a second set. So we got inputs and outputs. We got x's and we got y's. Okay. The domain, of course, that's anything x can be. That's the set of all the inputs. The x is the first element in the ordered pairs. The range, of course, anything y can be. It's a set of outputs. All right, so here we go. This definition of a function is going to sound a little more simple than it really is. It does take a little bit of thought, and we'll talk about it. Here we go. A relation in which each element of the domain is paired with exactly one element in the range. That's the important part, exactly one. Okay. For example, what we're really looking at is each input has exactly one output. Think about it. The converse of that, each output has exactly one input, means something different. So be careful. Each input has exactly one output. Okay, let's take a look at an example. In number 1 on your notes, we have to do a few things. State the domain. Domain is all the first ones, right? And it's set notation. So we use little squigglies there. So 3, 4, and 5. Okay. The range, of course, are the y's. Okay. Then we have to state whether this is a function or not. Okay. So what we're looking at, each input has, see if it has only one output. So input of 3 has only one output, 4. The input of 4 has only one output, -5. The input of 5 has only one output of 4. And so that is a function. So here are there's our answers right there. Okay. Domain, range, and yes, it's a function. So let's take a look at the next one. So the input of the x's, output the y's, domain is the input, range is the y's. And we notice in this one, this is not a function because the input of 4 has an output of 7, but it also has an output of 4. If you compare that to number 1, we realize that we use this 4 in the output in the range twice, but this was still a function. Okay, so be careful with that. Each input has only one output. Number 1 is a function. Number 2 is not. So let's take a look at the answers real quick, and then we'll move on. There are the answers. Okay, and no, it's not a function. Now, we're going to look at graphs. And we're going to be able to answer, is this a function or not? So what we're looking for is each input has only one output. Well, the inputs are the x's. So let's take a look at the first one. Okay, this is in your notes. We're looking at the inputs. Each input has only one output. Well, the inputs, those are the x's. The input of 2 has one output. The input of -2 has one output, one y value. So this first one is a function. Take a look at the second one, this ellipse. That's an ellipse. If you look at the input, the x value of 2, I kind of hit 2 there. We have an output here, a y value there, and an output, a y value there. So the input of 2 has 2 outputs. So this is no, not a function. This one is yes, it's a function. Okay. All right. And it's because call that number 1. That one, number 1, passes the vertical line test. Number 2 does not. And so we look at the vertical line test. That's actually page 7 in your textbook. Okay, so check that out when you have time. And our other part of our objectives, evaluate functions. So really what we're doing is we're finding the value of a function, really the y value given an x value. So we're plugging and chugging, putting something in for x and getting something for y. Let's take a look at that. Evaluate. In math, that means find the value of. And so the value of the function, the y value, the output when the input is -3. So we have f of x equals 2 times x squared plus 4x minus 1. So f of something equals 2 times something squared plus 4 times something. Now we do want to use those parentheses, and so we want f of -3, so we just put in -3 there. And bring your Aunt Sally along. Let's do order of operations correctly. So you got to do this first, the squared. So -3 squared, that's -3 times -3, that's +9 times 2 is 18. Then we got -12 minus 1. Go ahead and figure out what that is. And your homework assignment is on page 10 and 11. You're going to do 33 to 42. That is due right at the beginning of class tomorrow on day 2. Hope today was a great day for you. Looking forward to a good school year, and I'll see you tomorrow.